Chicago, 1893. The World's Columbian Exposition, the greatest event in American history. 27 million people flooded into this city to witness the future. Towering white buildings, electric lights for the first time, the promise of a new century. But just 2 blocks from the fairgrounds, a man was building something else entirely. He called it a hotel. The newspapers would later call it something far more sinister. They called it the Murder Castle.
Kills the boy and burns the body. Killing for him is about power. The Murder Castle.
His real name was Herman Webster Mudgett. Born in 1861 in Gilmanton, New Hampshire, a small, quiet town that had no idea it was raising a monster. From childhood, Holmes displayed a chilling fascination with death. Classmates recalled him dissecting animals. Teachers noted his brilliant, cold intelligence. He graduated from the University of Michigan Medical School in 1884 and immediately began stealing cadavers from the anatomy lab to defraud life insurance companies. That was the thing about H.H. Holmes. He wasn't just a killer. He was a con artist, a charmer, a man who could look you in the eye, smile warmly, and make you feel like the most important person in the room, right up until he didn't need you anymore. He arrived in Chicago in 1886 under his new alias, Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. Within months, he had charmed his way into managing a local pharmacy. Within years, he owned the entire block. In 1889, Holmes began construction on what he called the World's Fair Hotel, a massive 3-story building at 63rd and Wallace. But the blueprints told a different story. Holmes personally supervised construction, firing workers constantly to ensure no single person understood the full design. What they were building, room by room, floor by floor, was a labyrinth of horrors. The building had over 100 rooms, doors that opened onto brick walls, stairs that led nowhere, hallways with no exits, gas pipes that Holmes could control from a panel in his bedroom, pumping lethal fumes into rooms while guests slept. There was a soundproofed vault large enough to hold a person, greased chutes leading directly to the basement, and in the basement, a crematorium, 2 furnaces, a surgical table, and an array of chemicals capable of dissolving human remains completely. Holmes lured his victims with almost contemptuous ease. Young women traveling alone to the World's Fair. Business partners he convinced to take out life insurance policies. Employees who knew too much. He would charm them, seduce them, hire them, and then, when the moment was right, he would trap them in his castle. Some died from gas. Some were locked in the vault and suffocated. Others were taken to the basement. Estimates of his victim count range from 27, confirmed, to over 200 suspected. The truth died with him. The devil, it turned out, had been hiding in plain sight, right next to the White City. Holmes wasn't caught because of the murders. He was caught because of a horse. In 1894, Holmes fled Chicago and embarked on a nationwide insurance fraud scheme, this time involving a faked death, a stolen horse, and a web of lies spanning 6 states. The Pinkerton Detective Agency picked up his trail. When Philadelphia police arrested him on a horse theft charge, they had no idea who they were really holding. It was only when investigators returned to Chicago and entered the hotel that the full scale of his crimes became clear. They found the vault, the chutes, the furnaces, bones, surgical instruments. fragments of jewelry belonging to missing women. The world was horrified. Newspapers called it the greatest crime story in American history. Holmes went on trial in 1895. His defense was that he was innocent, that he couldn't possibly have done what they said. The jury deliberated for 2.5 hours. Guilty on all counts. Herman Webster Mudgett, Dr. H. Holmes, was hanged on May 7, 1896. He was 34 years old. Even at the end, he played games. He requested an unusual burial, encased in concrete, double coffin, buried deep. He said he feared grave robbers. Some say he feared something else that someone might do to his body, what he had done to so many others. The murder castle burned to the ground under mysterious circumstances before it could be fully investigated. The full death toll was never confirmed. Families of the missing never received answers. But H. Holmes left a legacy that criminologists still study today. He was by most accounts America's first documented serial killer, a man who used the spectacle and chaos of the modern world to hide atrocities that belong in another century entirely. The White City shone for one glorious summer. The castle next door cast a shadow that never quite lifted.